Every morning, millions of us wake up, look at a clock, and begin a deeply ingrained routine. We log into a portal or drive to a building, trading a specific block of our hours for a set amount of money. When you meet someone new, the first question is almost always, "What do you do?" We use titles like manager, clerk, or designer as a shorthand. It's how we organize our social standing and tell the world who we are. This clear separation between where we live and where we earn is a historical anomaly. For the vast majority of human history, the idea of leaving home to go to work would have made no sense at all. Now, gig apps, remote networks, and artificial intelligence are pulling that structure apart. Work is unspooling back into our living rooms and phones, fragmented into on-demand tasks and dynamic contracts. The modern job emerged from a unique set of industrial conditions that are now shifting. We are witnessing the end of a highly specific, engineered era of human labor. Before the 1800s, households were tiny economic engines. A family would farm, spin yarn, repair tools, and trade, all under one roof. Survival was a cooperative enterprise embedded directly into daily family life. Industrialization broke that domestic system apart. The massive steam-powered machines of the early 19th century were too large and expensive for a living room. People were pulled off their land and moved into factories, relying entirely on an employer for their wages. Inside these factories, the nature of the labor itself changed. Instead of one artisan crafting a product from start to finish, the division of labor reorganized production into dozens of tiny, repetitive steps, each performed by a different person along an assembly line. A mechanical engineer named Frederick Taylor pushed this logic to its absolute limit. He observed factory floors with a stopwatch, timing workers' specific bodily movements to identify the fastest possible sequence of motions. By standardizing every action, Taylor's system extracted the specialized knowledge from the individual craftsman and handed it over to management. A worker didn't need to understand the craft anymore, they just had to follow instructions. Early industrialization introduced a new logic of workplace discipline and absolute employer control. It dictated every hour of a worker's day and synchronized human bodies to the pace of a machine. The early versions of these jobs were grueling and dangerous. 6-day work weeks, 12-hour shifts, and child labor were standard practice. The safety and predictability of the modern schedule did not naturally evolve from corporate goodwill. It took decades of strikes and collective bargaining to force a legal correction. The labor movement pushed through laws like the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, creating the federal minimum wage, capping the standard work week at 40 hours, and establishing the weekend. As these protections took hold, the economy transitioned. Rising productivity meant fewer people were needed in agriculture and manufacturing. Throughout the 20th century, the workforce migrated out of the factory and into office buildings, schools, hospitals, and retail. During the second half of the century, women entered this expanding paid workforce in massive numbers. This altered the family structure. Dual-earner households became the norm, creating a surging demand for new service sectors like childcare, dining, and transportation. Earning a living sitting at a desk with a steady salary became a symbol of middle-class stability. It promised routine advancement and established the title on your business card as a primary measure of social success. The stable 9-to-5 era was a calculated social contract built through legislation and high-level economic planning. It took a century of conflict and negotiation to construct. That social contract is now under pressure. U.S. manufacturing employment hit its all-time peak in 1979, before falling by 35% over the next 40 years. This hollowing out of middle-skill occupations, driven by global trade and automation, has polarized the labor market, leaving workers split between high-value professional roles and precarious service work. Digital platforms now fragment the employment relationship by breaking one's stable roles into on-demand, isolated tasks. There is no human manager looking over your shoulder. The tasks are matched, supervised, and dynamically priced by software. You are evaluated strictly by ratings and GPS data. Artificial intelligence is the latest extension of this logic. Just as Frederick Taylor timed physical movements to extract craft knowledge, AI absorbs routine cognitive tasks. It moves the judgment and skill out of the worker's head and bakes it straight into the digital infrastructure. For over 60% of the world's workforce, this shift doesn't feel new at all. In developing economies, informal day-to-day labor without a safety net has always been the reality. The formalized 9-to-5 never arrived for them. Technology rarely eliminates human labor, it reorganizes it. The way we work tomorrow won't be dictated solely by what an algorithm can do. It will depend on what kinds of protections, rights, and responsibilities we decide to build around it.